Hello, I'm Maddie, also known as Hello Interloper, or on Crash Fever, you know me as Jakunev. I've been getting a lot of messages about my absence. Where have I gone? Do I still play Crash Fever? Can people have my account? All that kind of stuff. I guess I kind of owe everybody an answer as to where I have been. And unfortunately, the answer isn't that great. So I'm just gonna go ahead and doodle as I explain because, let's face it, me just talking isn't really that exciting. So I'm gonna probably draw some stupid things. So let's start with a top layer here. Whatever, this will be the top layer. Put the layers away. So, let's start with the basics. I have depression, and I've had it for a really long time now. This is a terrible stylus. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Sorry. I have depression. I've had it for a long time. It hit me when I went through puberty. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of people who have any kind of mental illness. It's in their DNA, it's hereditary many times. And as soon as you get to a certain age, it activates and you're kind of just stuck with it. And for the most part, I was better for a really long time. And the thing about depression is it doesn't exactly go away completely. It's kind of like pushed back. And you're kind of okay for a while. You still have some depressive thoughts once in a while, especially when bad things happen, but, for the most part, you're okay. And unfortunately, what happens sometimes is you end up relapsing, and that's exactly what happened to me. I was not doing so well for a while, especially because of the circumstances behind my current living situation. I haven't really gone that far into it, because it's kind of embarrassing. And I guess it's a little more common now, especially, just for people my age. What is this tool? Oh, it's like a fill-in sort of thing. People my age tend to suffer through this a little more often than most. I live with my parents, and it's not fun. And the reason why I live with my parents is because, first of all, I have depression, I have anxiety, I have migraines, and because of that, I really can't hold down a job. Because nobody's going to accept a worker who has to go home on any given day because either they're feeling too depressed to work, they have a terrible migraine and can't work, or all that kind of good stuff. And unfortunately, the way that it works here in America, I'm not sure if, I know a lot of my viewers are not from America, but the way it works here is if you have some sort of disability, you have to have worked a certain amount of hours in order to be eligible for disability. In other words, if you did not work enough hours, you are not eligible for disability and you will not get any assistance. And unfortunately, that's what happened to me. I decided to go to college, and although I did drop out of college at one point because I had terrible anemia. Anemia is when you have a lack of iron in your blood. I had such bad anemia that my red blood cells were actually different sizes because I wasn't getting enough iron, and it kept pumping out all these crazy shaped blood cells that it was just really bad. And I had to drop out. I couldn't even cross campus without practically passing out when I got to my dorm. I was sleep-talked during those times, too, because I was so pretty much dead. And one time I vomited. That was extremely embarrassing. There's really nothing worse than just walking back to your dorm and then just vomiting in the middle of the walkway. And, geez, it was really bad. So It was a clusterfuck. But after all of that, I decided that I was going to get a job, and I worked as a dog bather at a kind of like a kennel, but also a like a doggy daycare place. And that was pretty fun, and I worked there for a while until I decided that I would go back to college because I was making less than minimum wage. I was being paid per dog, and a lot of times people would cancel. And on those days where people would cancel, I wasn't making any money because I wasn't washing any dogs. So that really sucked. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to school, I'm going to get my degree. And because I decided to go back to college, I did not have enough work hours in order to be eligible for disability, even though I clearly have enough diagnoses to get disability. I mean, I have more than enough. I have migraines, I have anxiety, I have depression, not just like, your run-of-the-mill depression. I have MDD, which is major depressive disorder. I have PTSD. I actually, my experiences in high school, and I know it sounds very weird because PTSD is something that you usually connect to veterans, It's not exactly something that you think, oh, some random person here has PTSD because they went to school or whatever. What are you talking about? I had depression while I was in high school. And unfortunately, because of that, I went through a lot of bullying because everybody liked to make fun of the emo kid. I was, like a very easy target. And people decided that it was fun to make fun of the person who was weak. And that's just kind of why I don't really trust people very much. I think that people are not exactly very nice, and that nice people are very hard to come by. I don't have a lot of faith in humanity, let's put it that way. But during that time, because that technically was a traumatic time, having to go to school, because, listen, in the U.S., you have to stay in school, otherwise you are seen as being something called truant. That's when you don't attend school. You're required to attend public school unless your parents physically take you out of school and homeschool you. And even then, they have to be able to prove that you have been schooled. You have to take an equivalency test and everything. And listen, nobody goes very far in life if they haven't graduated high school. So I had to stay in school. And that meant being bullied on a daily basis, and also the thing that really sucked was going into English class. English class was the first class that I failed, and I was always a very good student, so failing something really, really hurt. And it made me doubt my own abilities, it made me doubt my own intelligence. It was extremely difficult, and it just sucked. But also in English class, I don't know what kind of books you guys all read in your English class, but for whatever reason, in our English class, all we read were really, really depressing books, and a lot of them had to do with, humans being assholes, and suicide, death, a lot of subjects that really aren't that healthy for somebody who's depressed. And, we read The Great Gatsby. We read Frankenstein. We read Death of a Salesman. We read White Noise, which, although listen, don't get me wrong, I love that book. I think it's a great book. But the entire premise of that book is the fear of death. And it was not exactly a good thing to read at the time. We read a lot of Shakespeare, like Macbeth, which of course is with killing, Romeo and Juliet, suicide, This was a pattern, and I don't know why we couldn't read something that was a little more upbeat. It was all about really, really negative things, as if it was almost reinforcing my belief that humankind was terrible. And, experiencing bullying on a daily basis, being shoved down the stairs, being mocked, all this kind of stuff. it all eventually added up to the point where, you really start believing that humankind is terrible. But also, it leaves a lasting impression on you because while you're depressed, your brain is not working the way it should. Every little negative thing seems like the end of the world. And you can't really see the future. Nothing really matters except for the present when you're depressed. And that all resulted in PTSD that I still have until today. I'm 27 right now. I graduated in 2009. I had to take one extra year in order to graduate because I had failed so many classes. But that means that I graduated 8 years ago, and I still have PTSD nightmares. I still have flashback nightmares where I am being bullied, and I wake up either screaming, I wake up kicking the wall, I wake up punching, I wake up talking, or saying things, or screaming things. And sometimes, somebody will try to wake me up, especially my boyfriend, John. He'll try to wake me up very calmly, be like, hey, Maddie, how are you? And I will just start going, because the adjustment between sleeping and waking is just too much to handle. And a lot of times when I wake up from one of these really terrible dreams, I'm affected for hours because I have very, very vivid dreams. When I dream, I taste, I hear, I feel, like every single sense, I can sense it. I've had dreams where I've tasted the most delicious food, and I know I'll never be able to taste it in real life because it's food, it's dream taste. I don't know how to explain it. It's crazy. But unfortunately, that means that the fear that I feel in certain situations in my dreams are so vivid and so real that I wake up and I felt like I just went through something absolutely traumatic, and it takes a really long time to recover from that kind of shock. Even though it's just a dream, you have to realize that your body reacts as if it was real. That's why sometimes you wake up from a nightmare and, you're sweating, your heart is pumping. Because, let's face it, your brain really can't tell the difference between what reality and a dream is. And sometimes your body goes into fight or flight mode while you're asleep. So that's really unfortunate. And, there are ways how to treat PTSD in, let's say, veterans or somebody who's been through a car accident or something like that, where they get flashbacks in their waking life. They can go through exposure therapy where, if, let's say it's fireworks that set them off, they can slowly get used to the sound of fireworks to the point where it doesn't really scare them anymore. But the thing is, if some kind of, if the PTSD is in your dreams, you can't really stop it. And that's kind of an unfortunate thing with me. So, just hearkening back to why on earth I am not making videos. I've been going through a relapse, and I've been okay for quite a while. The medicine that I'm on right now is called venlafaxine, and I've been kind of decreasing the amount I've been taking over the past few years. But basically, this is the, I would call it the medicine that saved me, because up until that point, I was extremely depressed, I was suicidal, and I was put on this in 2008 when I was 18, so I've been taking this for almost 10 years now. And just overall, it's really changed my life. Unfortunately, there have been quite a few incidents that have gone on, and a big part of this is my situation at home. I do live with my parents, like I said, because I don't have a choice in the matter. Right now, I can't hold down a job because no one hires somebody who can't come in every day because of these migraines. Thankfully, I'm seeing a neurologist. I am going through treatment. I got a bunch of tests done. There's right now nothing abnormal with my brain, with my blood vessels that lead to my brain or anything like that that would indicate a problem that would need surgery to fix. But that doesn't mean that I don't have terrible migraines. I do have severe migraines, and according to the Midas score, which is the way how to gauge how serious migraines are. I'm currently in the severely disabling kind of classification there. So they're actually going to be giving me Botox. I know that sounds silly. What the hell is Botox for? But, because a lot of posh celebrities and whatever use Botox to look pretty and whatnot. But believe it or not, Botox actually has a use outside of just, I don't know how to make a mask. Is there a way how to make a mask here? I'm not sure. There is an actual use for it past just looking good, You can actually use it to prevent migraines. And, excuse me, I don't want the black smudged. Why is it doing that? Believe it or not, if it's inserted into the scalp, it has a chance of actually making your migraines go away. It has something to do with the cardiovascular or whatever bullshit that it has to, whatever, you know what I'm saying. It's vasoconstriction, yes. The blood vessels in your brain, in your scalp, everything that leads to your brain, because a migraine is not just a bad headache, it's a full-on neurological fuck-up. It's a major event. It's not something that Advil can fix, and that's why a lot of people suffer so badly with migraines. It's not a headache. It really is not a headache, and it's so much more than just a headache, and that's like a huge misconception, is that, you just have a really bad headache, lie down, it'll get better. It does not get better. You need a special medicine. I'm on a special medicine, all that bullshit. But unfortunately, I will have a paralyzed brow, which I really am not happy about. That's really one thing I was not looking forward to, is losing the... Oh god, no, I don't want that. Losing the movement in my brows, but it's something I'm just gonna have to deal with. See if I take this away, it doesn't smudge the black. Okay, I can deal with this. I'm still learning how to use this program, and of course, this is a really, really crappy bunny here. This bunny looks so messed up. He looks like he's psychotic, but whatever. I guess that's kind of the point. So, I'm hoping to find some relief from the migraines. That's kind of my first step here. My second step is I'm trying really hard to get into a clinical trial, which will, give me the opportunity to either be treated with ketamine, which is kind of a new way to treat depression, and it is also an illegal recreational drug. So if that sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you hear it as a street drug. It also does have a use as a possible treatment. So that's kind of what I will be using it for treatment in a clinical trial. And in case you're not aware of what a clinical trial is, it's basically when you decide that you're going to be a guinea pig for a company or a bunch of scientists and test things out. This one clinical trial that I would like to try, it basically is a test to see what is more effective, electroconvulsive therapy or ketamine. And let's go through what electroconvulsive therapy is. It's just as scary as it sounds. They put you under anesthesia, and they connect electrodes to your brain, and they zap you into having a seizure. And this is kind of similar to what LSD does to your brain. LSD, it activates many parts of your brain, and kind of gives your brain a full shock. It kind of resets the brain because all of a sudden, all of your brain is working at once and it's going wild and it's like pew, 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 and then it goes back to normal. That's kind of what the basis of this whole thing is. It hopefully resets parts of the brain that aren't functioning properly, and the whole hope is that when it, when you wake up and everything and your brain recovers from this small mini seizure, which is a controlled seizure, you will be a little better. You will be in a better mindset and your brain will start functioning better. It's dangerous. Let's put it that way. There's not exactly a full guarantee that you'll be without side effects. One of the most common side effects, unfortunately, is a little bit of amnesia. Kind of like, okay, you'll forget what happened for the week or something like that. But at this point, I'm really willing to take any risk just to feel better. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. As for why I haven't been doing Crash Fever, I've kind of taken a complete break from all social media, including Facebook, all that kind of stuff. It's been very hard to keep track of all these things because it involves a lot of talking to people, and sometimes you just frankly don't feel like talking to people. It's very hard to keep up with all the comments, all the stuff, it's very draining. And I guess it's a little more draining for me than most people because, believe it or not, I actually am an introvert. And talking to people a lot actually really puts a drain on me. So I personally don't like talking to people constantly. It definitely tires me out. I kind of get, the way I say it is I get peopled out. And that's the best way I can put it. I get peopled out, I get tired, and I kind of need a break from people. That's why I can only, handle a little bit of people at a time, as weird as that sounds. And sometimes I just can't handle all of it. So one of the things, when I went through this depression relapse, one of the things I decided, I would kind of give up was talking. And that included making videos, just responding to comments, going on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook for a while. I haven't responded to people's messages. I only responded to people's messages today. So, just all in all, it's really difficult because you are battling yourself pretty much. You're not worthless. You deserve better. You have to fight through things. A lot of things are all in your head, but to a certain extent, it's really difficult to fight these feelings of inadequacy and everything. And a big part of it is also I really can't stand living with my parents anymore because to a certain extent, my parents are a little crazy. Unfortunately, they are all a little nutty. And I just can't take it anymore. And my boyfriend's having a lot of trouble finding a job here in Connecticut. We live in Connecticut, and the jobs are terrible here. No thanks to Malloy, Governor Malloy, I'm telling you, listen, I'm a registered Democrat. I'm only registered Democrat because I do not like the religious policies of the Republicans. But I would say if I was to say, am I a Democrat or Republican? I'm really neither. I hate both parties. I just find myself usually trying to vote with whoever is trying to keep separation of church and state going. Because I don't believe that religion is required to be a good person. And frankly, I don't like the guilt that a lot of religion puts on people. I think it's detrimental. I don't really like talking about religion much because it's such a contentious subject, but I hate Malloy. I don't care if he's a Democrat. Let me tell you, I hate Democrats. I hate Republicans. I think all politicians are really dishonest. And right now, I think both sides are ruining the country because I don't see the economy getting any better. Job economy is terrible. There are more people under 30 living with their parents than there ever has been. The debt is still hanging overhead. I haven't seen any improvements to anybody's lives. It's not fair that somebody who is disabled cannot get disability. That's the toughest part that for me to come to terms with, is that by all medical standards right now, I am disabled and I can't work, and I don't qualify simply because I did not go and work extra. I decided that, hey, I'm gonna go and finish up college. And that's the toughest part, because I don't have enough work hours. I just can't get disability. That's really difficult. So, I hate Malloy. I really do. He's absolutely messing up Connecticut. I honestly want to move out of Connecticut, but my parents are really difficult to deal with, and I want nothing more than to move out. And same with my boyfriend. He really wants to move out too. So pretty much that's why I haven't been around. I know I blabbered a lot during this video, but I just felt like I kind of owed it to my viewers, especially because I'm getting so many comments asking, where are you? And no, you cannot have my account. I still play, and I'm hoping that at some point I can make videos again. Maybe I'll try this week. I don't know, because there's this, the big 9 million downloads event going on. That's kind of fun. I've definitely been excited about the Plague Doctor guy. He's pretty cool. He needs a belly button. There we go. He's got a belly button now. But you know what I mean. It's just, oh God, it's all such a pain in the ass. It's rough. It's just, all of this is extremely difficult. And, it's just sometimes you wish that it could all just kind of go away, and unfortunately it just hasn't. I sometimes don't know what to do, because, there's no easy solution. There's really no way to just say, abracadabra, you're all better. But, hopefully things will get better. And, I have a good psychiatrist. I know that she knows me better than anybody else. She's going to help me throughout everything. I can count on her for anything. But just overall, it's really tough. Depression isn't easy to get over. And it just gets even harder when there are people in the way. And I feel like my parents are definitely going about a lot of this wrong, because I think to a certain extent they kind of forget that I am an adult at this point. And they still kind of like to sneak around and do things without my permission. Like, they're just, they're a pain in the ass. They really are. So yeah, I'm not really sure what else to talk about. I just kind of want to finish up this bunny, because He looks kind of funny for a bunny. I wish I could make a better piece of art than this shitty bunny, but unfortunately this style is I don't know how big. It's pretty big, and I kind of don't feel like working on any masterpieces right now, so I'm just kind of, going around here doing what I can. And I guess my ultimate goal is to slowly get better, slowly get my life back on track. It's going to take a while. Currently doing what I can. And I guess that's really all I can do, is really go through the motions, see if I can get this clinical trial going. If I can get into this clinical trial, things will get easier. And slowly try to reintegrate myself. That's definitely one thing that I think is really important, is to slowly but surely get myself back to where I used to be. Making videos, taking care of my pets, that sort of thing. Hopefully soon I will have a link for you guys for an Instagram account or something where you can follow my recovery. Or maybe I'll do a blog. I don't know. Something that will be like a clear documentation of how I'm doing, I guess. Like how I'm getting my life back together the best I can. Ooh, that's a weird effect. I don't really like that. And just basically, if anybody else is going through something similar, maybe seeing the way I'm dealing with it will help them somewhat. Because I know it's not an easy thing to deal with. Depression sucks. It really does. And it's not easy. A lot of people say, oh, you're just depressed, you're sad. You know what? Some people get sad, get over it. It's not the same. It really is not. People get depressed. Depressed is like an emotion, oh, I'm depressed. Depression is a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with feeling depressed. Depression is a real chemical imbalance that sometimes is influenced by your environment, your genetics, a certain trauma, anything. And don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, it's just all in your head. It's all in this. You know what? It is all in your head, but it's not something that is always in your control. It's in your head because your head is full of chemicals, full of neurons, full of neurotransmitters that are all interacting with each other 24/7 to make you who you are, to make you feel what you feel. And sometimes they don't work properly. And that's why sometimes medicine works. It fixes the things that are broken. Unfortunately, we don't know 100% what depression is, because there's just so many different types of depression. If you look up depression online, there's a million different classifications for depression. There are depression types that last for weeks. There are depression types that last for years. There are depression types that last for days. And nobody knows what exactly the main cause is. Is it all genetic? Is it all nature, nurture, that sort of thing? Is it a combination? Which exact chemical is the one that's responsible for depression? Some people say it's serotonin. Some people say it's norepinephrine. Some people say it's both. Some people say it's dopamine. It could be any of them. It could be any combination of them, because the brain is so delicate. Everything is in such a delicate balance that one little thing gets thrown off, and who the hell knows what kind of condition can come from that. So that's pretty much where things are right now. Until we really study the brain more, the best we can do is seek out any kind of treatment that we can and try to get better. And that's precisely what I'm going to be doing. I hope that all of you guys are well, and I hope to really get back to Crash Fever soon. In the meantime, this is my bunny, and I'm gonna upload him to this application called Sketch. He's gonna be editable and collaborative, which means that if you want to edit him or add things to him or, you know, give him a fucking green mohawk, you can go ahead and do that. I'm not sure if this is available on iOS, Apple, whatever. It's definitely available on Android. Go fuck him up the best you can. I'm pretty sure my name on that is Hello Interloper. It might be Jack and Ev. I'm not sure. It's one or the other. Go mess with him if you want. Anyway, that's my long talk about depression, where I've been, all the crazy fuckery that's going on in my life. Sorry for blabbering so much, but, you know, it's a lot to deal with, and I think a big part of any kind of mental illness is not keeping quiet about it. It's an illness, and when people get the cold, flu, anything like that, you know, nobody keeps it a secret. People talk about it and like, oh man, I got the flu again, and it sucks, and I'm sniffling, and I got boogers running out of my nose. You know, it's ugly, it sucks, it's contagious, and whatever. It's not a good time. But the thing is, depression, it's kind of like the flu. It's unpleasant. It's disgusting. You feel like shit. But the thing is, you can get better. And I don't think it really should be treated any differently than the flu. You should go get help for it. You shouldn't suffer with it alone, you know. Your best friend would go get you something. You know, go get you a soup or something if you had the flu and you couldn't get out of the house. I think friends should really support each other if they have depression. And a part of making depression a little more acceptable is to talk about it, break down those walls of communication. And I'm not going to stay quiet about my depression just because it makes some people uncomfortable. It exists. A lot of people suffer from it. Anybody can get it. So that's why I'm talking about it. That's why I'm letting you guys know what happened. Because it's something that I deal with. It's a part of me, unfortunately. And it'd be stupid to just stay silent, pretend it doesn't exist, when it really is something that's at the forefront of my thoughts, my existence, and really getting in the way of me living a normal life. So anyway, I hope all of you are doing much better than I am at this point. And if you are not doing well, I wish all of you a speedy recovery, no matter what you're going through. In the meantime, make sure that you check out Crash Fever, because there is an amazing campaign going on with a lot of 6 stars that are actually pretty decent. And it's been a lot of fun. I've been, you know, doing a lot of groups. If you see me as Jack and Ev in Crash Fever, say hello, and hope to see you guys. Hopefully I'll make a video quite soon. Anyway, take care. Bye.